Hello, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Tracy B. from the Divorce Solutionist, and I will be going over my workshop, Divorce with Strategy. If you could just bear with me 1 second, I need to figure out how how to get this to play. Um, on Eventbrite. I'm hoping everyone knows how to join me from the link that was provided. This is um, this is normally a 3-day workshop that I previously presented in my Facebook group, but for tonight's presentation, I am going to condense it to 1 day. It could be done in 1 day. Um, since there's no live um, audience. So, divorce with strategy. I want to mention some disclaimers. None of this information is provided in this workshop is intended to be perceived as legal advice in your specific case. The content here is for informational purposes only. It's always advisable to consult with an attorney about the details of your specific case. The information shared here is based on the author's professional experience and may vary from professionals in the family law industry. The content in this workshop is not to be reproduced, reprinted, or redistributed in any form, as it is the proprietary interest of the creator. So we got that stuff out of the way. Divorce with strategy. So the purpose of this workshop is to provide information on methods, techniques to prepare a plan of action. Plan of action is something that I developed in cases that I've handled to position your case for success. It's it's not it's something that is only applicable to divorce or custody, but for my purposes, it is. This is a something that I developed over the 20 years of family law practice that using my expertise and my experience and my background and the wide array of positions and roles I've played in the family law industry, I've come up with this um, particular um, plan of action. I will use the terms interchangeably. It's a roadmap, plan of action, strategic action plan. Depending on who it is, I switch up the terminology, but it's all the same. So that's me, Tracy B., the divorce solutionist. Who am I? I am a family law professional with almost 20 years of experience in the field. I am a former family law attorney, mediator, guardian ad litem, consultant, and coach. I wanted to add in there that I've also written articles. I've also done some public speaking, and I've also done some teaching, all related to family law. Um, I've handled high conflict family law cases in addition to other areas of law. I've done some other stuff as well. I had training in alternative dispute resolutions that focused on family law, amongst several other trainings, related trainings. And a lot of the trainings that I've had are related to representing moms, dads, and children in custody, relocation, divorce proceedings, abuse, neglect proceedings, child support, and it runs the gamut. My mission is primarily to help women who face overwhelm and challenges when they are amid divorce or custody. I do this by offering suitable and cost efficient options while providing professional service. So, what is strategy? It's a general plan to achieve one or more long term or overall goals under conditions of uncertainty. And why is it important? Because it serves as a compass in your personal life, business, or any area of your life where you set goals. So it helps you to be intentional and focused in reaching your goals. And we all know the more intentional and focused we are in setting goals, the likelihood of us succeeding in reaching those goals and being successful in reaching those goals. It's a great planning tool for you to achieve success. It's your plan of action to guide you every step of the way. Let me give you some data and statistics. Women initiate divorce in 70% of the cases. Yes, 70%, which is a shocker because most people think uh, it's divorces are usually caused by something the husband did. And that may be the case, but women are more inclined to take the initiative to go file. Women spend more money on divorce and custody than men do. And why is that? Because most times they have more to gain or lose. So they are more inclined to hire the necessary help and get the necessary help and support they need. So those costs can be lawyers, forensics experts, um, mental health professionals, asset search, all kinds of stuff. So they are more inclined to do more of that because most of the time they're the ones seeking alimony, child support, custody, and distribution of property. Only 5% of divorces and 4% of custody cases go to trial. Most cases settle with or without court intervention. And what that means is that some cases settle by mediation or by a collaborative divorce. Some even settle by just the parties working with someone like me, a divorce coach and strategist. That's one of the things that I do. That's one of the services I provide. And there's no court involved. They can get the resolve the issues, negotiate, come up with an agreement, file the agreement with the divorce documents, get the judge to sign off on it, and that's it. And that happens more often than not, actually, especially now. Although mothers are still awarded primary custody more often than fathers, this precedence is currently shifting. Yes, it is definitely shifting in most states in the United States. 22% of divorcees regret it, but women are 70% more likely not to have regrets. And that's women. When they make up their mind, they're done. You know, when I speak to women, a lot of times when they do have regrets, their regrets are really related to their kids and how it impacted their kids. It's not really they regret leaving the marriage more so. It's the impact it has on the kids because we all know divorce really takes a toll on kids emotionally and mentally and academically as well. I see that a lot. Although most high conflict divorce or custody require legal representation, having lawyers involved increases the potential for more dissension in the overall proceeding. So, and I have to admit, as a family law attorney, I noticed that um, a lot of times when I represented a party that was willing to settle, it was my adversary or my opposing party that typically would create an issue with settling. They would find a reason to perpetuate or prolong settlement or any sort of negotiations. So that is definitely um, not so far off. 24% of women said they wouldn't recommend their family law attorney, and 40% of them stated they wouldn't because their lawyer never got to know them, which they believe resulting in them losing their case. This number did surprise me because I thought it would be more. After doing quite a bit of research, I found that family law attorneys happen to be the most hated of the legal professional, and they are more inclined to have unsatisfied clients than any other um, attorney in the industry, in the field, in the legal field. I think they run close with criminal defense attorneys as well, but I guess it depends on the jurisdiction and the facts, and there's a lot of variables. But based on the research and my personal experience, that seems to be pretty accurate. 77% of women in a study that was conducted by the UBS found surprises in the form of hidden assets after the divorce. And I'm bringing up these specific stats because they relate to a lot of the disappointment, the dissension, the dissatisfaction with women and men who hire attorneys to represent them in a divorce or custody case. And I have to be transparent and say that although I did practice family law for a long time, I don't now. And so what I do now is I give women and men, because some of my clients, I started picking up men lately. Um, my service is to give them an alternative to actually working directly with attorneys. Now, what I do, I sort of bridge the gap. So even if someone does prefer to hire an attorney to work with them because I can't be in every jurisdiction, my service is 100% virtual. I bridge the gap. So I may be sort of a median, so I can help interpret documents, help clarify law or legal terms, um, facilitate better communication. And that's not just with the lawyer, your lawyer, it's with the opposing party's lawyer, even the opposing party, and the judge, and the GAL, and the forensics experts, and anybody who is involved in your divorce or custody case. One of the things I do is I bridge gaps. I create sort of a connection where there is none. And so, and I do that in a way that's sort of unique because I use my background to um, to help me help you get better results overall, just with those things: better communication, better understanding, clarity, even emotional stability and mastery, and mental clarity and focus and concentration, and whatever it takes. I get technical, so I'll explain technical terms. I'll even help prepare documents, and that kind of thing. So whether you're represented by an attorney or unrepresented, that's one of the things I offer as a service now. So anyway, and I wanted to mention that because these statistics weren't gathered randomly. They are more focused on things that I found was an issue with the legal representation in family law, with the anecdotes that I've been hearing, and from my own personal and professional experience. So there's 5 steps to creating an action plan for success. And those 5 steps are mindset, creating a vision, assessing the current situation, developing a solid plan, and executing your plan. Those are the 5 steps that I use to come up with that action plan that I mentioned. So, mindset. Mindset is another way of saying your perspective. It's based on our beliefs, values, biases, etc. It is key to success because our underlying thoughts and feelings about a particular circumstance will affect how we show up. Excuse me. It will affect how we see things, how we perceive things, how it's, I mean, if you take a minute at any point of the day or the week or the month, randomly, and notice how you perceive a minor situation from day to day. So, like, let's take, for instance, driving in your car and you being cut off by another driver. And today, you might be totally, totally annoyed and pissed and flipping the bird and cursing and, all those things. And then, a week later, you can, totally change how you see that and respond completely different. Oh my. Who was that? Sorry about that. So, how we perceive our reality is directly linked to how we speak, the tone of our thoughts, how we act, react, and so on. So, if you have underlying beliefs that do not align with what we say we want, then chances are the circumstances in your life will match up with those beliefs. So, how you think, how you perceive about something is directly correlated and linked to how it presents itself. So if you think your divorce and custody case are the death of you, guess what's going to happen? You're going to actually attract that. That's what exactly what your reality is going to show you. So mindset is very important, and it takes practice. It's not something that you can expect to happen overnight. It takes practice, but it's something that you should definitely give time and attention to every single day. Notice where your attention is. Notice where your thoughts are going. If notice the self-talk. Notice how you respond to things or incidents or circumstances that show up. Pay close attention to those. Um, so, what is your mindset with respect to your divorce or your custody matter? I said this as my. It should say your. Um, so, divorce and custody disputes are hard for everybody, especially children, especially the kids. Between the emotional shakeup, the financial losses, the practical disruption in day to day life, it's inevitable that your mental outlook will suffer. It's, you know, in the cases that I've handled in my professional career, there were some where the parties were amicable and still civil to each other, but those are usually the ones where they were uncontested to begin with. Maybe 10% of the contested matters actually ended up where both parties were not overly stressed and hated each other and all that stuff. That wasn't the norm. That was the deviation from the norm. You can address these by being aware of your emotions as they arise. Not judging them, not speaking negatively about them, not stressing yourself out, trying to minimize the anxiety. Again, it takes practice though. It takes practice, it takes affirming, it takes being conscious, it takes being present, it takes a little bit of meditation, focus. It takes a lot of effort. And when I say a lot, I don't mean a lot from you. It takes a lot of different things until you get it right. That's what I mean. So, but one key thing I stress to people, you have to allow the emotions to be what they are, just not attach any negativity to them. So if you're sad, say, "Oh, I'm sad again. I hate myself for being sad." No, you're sad. That's it. You're sad. It's an emotion. You can control the emotion. You can allow it to be, but you get to dictate how it will affect you, how it will impact you. You get to choose that. Um, and that's what I mean. So you get to control how long they last. You get to control how you react to them. You get to control how they will show up for you. The next step is creating a vision. You create a vision for your life after divorce, for your life after divorce, post divorce, and custody. But it requires you taking a deep look at your core values. Everything is not a priority. Everything just will not be a priority. You need to prioritize what's most important to you based on your core values and beliefs, you know. And that's pretty much with anything in life, but especially with um, with divorce and custody. What is it you care most about in the grand scheme of things? Your kids' well-being, your financial stability, all those things. And prioritizing areas of your life that incorporate these core values, they'll help you stay on track and they'll help you get things in control and put things in perspective. And that way you'll choose your battles easier and you'll not react so much to some things more than others. You'll learn to deal with the anxiety better. It's a collateral effect. It's a domino effect. Believe it or not, it does. I've gone through, I didn't go through divorce. My ex and I were engaged and we had a child. So I did go through custody. But and even with my background, it was still, some sort of stress involved. But my knowledge and experience helped a little bit, but it was the other part of me that practices mindfulness that helped me get through that. So that's important. So now you can create your vision. You can develop your vision. What would you like your life to look like when the dust settles? How does it feel when you think about that life? How are your kids doing mentally, physically, and emotionally? How are you earning a living? How are you co-parenting? Where are you living? Are you amongst friends and family? Are you back in your hometown? Create a vision. Get a vision and start to visualize it. If you're a vision board person, create a vision board. If you're just a visualization, you do it mentally, that's fine too. But you can journal it, whatever it takes, map it out, mind mapping, whatever it takes, create a vision. If you create a vision, it's easier to stay focused, it's easier to stay on track, it's easier to maintain, it's easier to keep everything in perspective. And that way you are more likely to get the outcome, the overall result you want. So you need to decide where you want to be when the dust settles. Oh, I said that. um, you get to choose which direction you want your case to go when you take time to map out what it is you want. Don't think too much about what your ex or your soon-to-be ex wants, how he's unreasonable. Focus mainly on what your life looks like in the near and far off future. You should be writing these down, but you should do it in a manner that is best for you. So, like I mentioned, you could journal, you could do a vision board, you could do visualization. I'm big on visualization. I do visualization exercises. Um, you could do mind mapping. There's a program where people can do it. It's a mind mapping. It's an actual program, software program. We could create a mind map um, of your life and what you want it to look like. But whatever it takes, if you're a creative, you can draw it out, color it out, whatever it takes, whatever makes you helps you bring that to life. Um, that's suitable. So you should be writing this down. It may take a few times to narrow down what is most important to you, but you should definitely put some effort. And you can do this, spend a few minutes every day doing this, which I suggest. That's I prefer it that way. But whatever method you use, you should focus on that particular method a few minutes every day until you start to see your life unfold the way you want. 3, assess the current situation. So, this is very important. When you are planning a course of action, it is extremely important to acknowledge all the factors that will come into play in your divorce or custody case. Although it can be quite painful and disappointing, you must be really honest with yourself about the weaknesses of your case as well as the strengths of your case. In fact, in some cases, it's the weaknesses that can position your case for success more than anything else. Yes, I've seen it happen. Because, you'll understand why a little later. In a practical sense, you need to gather as much information as you can, no matter what the source is, it's whether it's credible or not, and no matter what the method is. And what that means is, I'm one of those people that does not believe that more or overdoing it or being extra or being superfluous is detrimental in this particular situation, in this circumstance, when you're going through divorce or custody. Because you don't know, or you may not know what may be valuable. I may not even know that until the case proceeds. So I'd rather have more than enough information, and we get to choose. We go through it together. We pick and choose what may be more valuable than others, what may be more useful in negotiations, what may be uh, how can I say, what I don't want to say useful. I want to say what may be what is it, impactful, what may be more impactful in the long run, if you go to trial. So the more we have, the better, because face it, you don't know what your adversary is going to come up with. And you always want leverage, you always want ammunition, you always want something that can be used to either counter what they are coming up with or asserting or alleging, or to bolster something else that you may have going on already. And as we get into the SWOT, you'll understand what I mean by that. So, um, no less is more. More is more. More is necessary. More is something that I always, always stress. When you're assessing your current situation, try to anticipate the strengths and weaknesses of your ex's case after you've determined what yours are. So I always focus on the who I'm working with, my client. We focus there first. We go through everything we have, and we actually start to analyze things, and we put them in categories. When we're done, we do need to look at the exorcist. This is another reason why, um, I know now a lot of people are not too keen on having direct conversations with their spouses or their exes because of them being antagonistic or cantankerous or just so uncooperative. I'm a fan of communication. I'm a fan of talking. I'm a fan of emailing, texting. I'm a fan of it, and I'm going to tell you why. For me, every single thing is about strategy. My strategy is always focusing on winning. And, I may come across as brass, as cold, as stoic, whatever. My focus is always going to be on developing a strategy to win. And I say win in quote because there's no one really wins in divorce or custody, but uh, I use that word for wins. So if having a conversation that may cause you some angst, but we might get him to admit something or disclose something or whatever. Um, hey, guess what? That's ammunition. That's leverage. We can use it. I understand and I do respect my clients' wishes when they say that they cannot communicate with their ex or soon to be ex. I get it. But I also encourage them to allow their ex or soon to be ex to, send communication in whatever form. So that, and let me look at it, let us look at it to see if there's something in it that we could use, uh, you know, to seek more information or to explore other areas or topics to use as negotiation, whatever it is. So divorce and custody battles are always replete with surprises from your ex, soon to be ex, the lawyers, the courts, etc. But try to get into his head to imagine all his perceived strengths of the case. And that's one of the ways you get into his head. Let him talk. Men are not, sorry, men, but men are usually not as, I'm trying to choose this word carefully because I don't want to offend anybody, but men are usually not as, hmm, they don't scheme as well as women do. I don't have a better word for that, for what I was trying to say, but women are usually, and I know there are men who could come up with some not so nice ways to put that, but um, good, bad, or indifferent. Women are usually much more skillful at scheming, at being strategic in situations like this, if they don't allow their emotions to um, cloud their judgment or blur their vision. And again, that's another reason why I do what I do, to be that level head, to be that extra set of eyes, to be that rational uh, addition, to be that support, to be that pillar, to be that strength, to be that you need when your emotions are all over the place. So don't focus too much on his lies. Concentrate on your truth. That's one thing I always say to people. Don't focus on his lies. You know, um, sometimes women are not able to get past that because they're so emotional. Oh, and every single day someone's coming to me and they're like, "Oh, can you believe all the lies he said?" And I'm saying to me, but it's I volunteer. I'm in groups and they'll say, "Oh, look, he's just more lies. He keeps telling all these." And I always say, "Who cares? Who cares? Why do you care?" And it takes them a minute, and they're like, "Well," and then they sometimes they think about it. They come back and say, "You're right." Um, but who cares? Who cares? Focus on your truth. You can't you can't expend that much energy focusing on his lies and expect to excel in your truth. You know what I'm saying? And coming up with your defense or even your own case, your own prima facie case. You can't. It's well, if you have me, you can, but it's you can't do both. Choose to use your energies wisely. You know, again, this is where using a divorce journal is very, very, very helpful. So, so take a second to think about one of your strengths and one of your weaknesses, and one of his strengths and one of his weaknesses. And you don't have to comment below, but just do that. So, here is the SWOT analysis that I came up with for divorce and custody. Let's start with the strengths. List all your strengths and those are your personal strengths, um, and the situational ones as well, or the benefits that exist with respect to things as they are right now. So take a minute and think about all the pluses, all the advantages, all the strong points, all the strengths that exist right now. So, for example, if you're a wage earner, you have money saved. Um, have you been the primary or sole caretaker for your kids? Anything you perceive as a plus. And yes, those are pluses. It's tricky though, because sometimes they can be perceived as weaknesses, but we don't want to get to that yet. We just want to list everything. Just do a brain dump and come up with all the things that are um, that you are perceive as strengths right now. Don't overthink whether something should be considered a strength, not just if it pops into your head, just put it out there. Your list of strengths may change once you speak with, lawyers, therapists, blah, blah, blah. But don't worry about that right now. This is an exercise I want you to do on your own. Okay. The weaknesses. Now, this one is extremely important and it could be um, a little disappointing, but we have to be realistic. Okay. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone, every divorce in case as well has weaknesses. If they didn't, there wouldn't be contested divorces. There wouldn't be disputes. There wouldn't be disagreements. Everyone has weaknesses. And from a lawyer's perspective, um, we know that every case has weaknesses and strengths. If we assume that our case had all strengths, we would, we would still fight. But if we assume our case had all weaknesses, we'd probably, and we do, sometimes just wind up telling the client, listen, you might as well settle, don't fight, don't go to court. Um, this is what you need to do. But most cases have both. Yes, even an unfit parent may have some strengths. One strength is if they've been if they've been determined to be the biological dad in this country, in the United States, that's a strength because they still have rights. And no matter how anyone else perceives it, that is a strength for the for a dad who is seeking some sort of access to his child. Be careful not to allow your ex or soon to be ex's voice to creep up while you're working on your list of weaknesses. And that happens all the time. Oftentimes we start to believe what our loved ones tell us about ourselves, especially the demeaning insults and the put downs. Oh, you're an unfit mother. Oh, you're never going to get a decent job. You're always going to be dependent on me. You're never going to be able to take care of yourself. You're never going to be able to maintain a household and take care of those kids without me. You're never going to you're never going to win. You're never going to get anything from me, all those things. And it's inevitable. They tend to creep up and make us have self-doubt. Don't listen to that right now. When you're coming up with your weaknesses, focus on the weaknesses exist. If you want, if it's hard for you to shut that voice down, that's fine. Make a line down the paper, because you should be doing this in writing, and put what he says on the other side of the page, and then we'll go through that. Concentrate on your personal realities that make achieving your overall goals difficult. So, what is it? What are the challenges you know exist right now? Oh, if I leave him, I've been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. If I leave him, what am I going to do for money? Where am I going to live? Because, I have to leave the house because this is his house. How am I going to pay rent? The rents are so high in this neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Those are personal realities, and they can be weaknesses. So if those are concerns of yours, yeah, put them down as weaknesses, because they are concerns, and they're legitimate concerns. Now, as the case progresses, you may find solutions, and he may help willingly or unwillingly, but they will come up as you should write them down as weaknesses for now. And that's one of the examples that I just said. So now we're on to opportunities. So this time is to focus on things that are not personal. So the strengths and weaknesses were more personal things, personal to you, personal to the situation from your perspective only, how it affects you personally, financially, mentally, emotionally, logistically, physically. Now we're getting to the other half, which the opportunities and the threats. They're more external things. They're more factors that are out of your control, like, your ex, or the lawyers, or the judges, or the guardian ad litem, or the forensics, or, the laws and things like that. So when you're identifying opportunities, focus on events, conditions, resources, all those things that have the potential for something positive to happen in your situation as a result. For example, a change in your ex's employment status. If he was previously unemployed, now he all of a sudden he has a job. That's an opportunity. The opportunity is um, his change in income. It's important that you're always on the lookout for opportunities. Always, always, always. Again, that's why I come in at. I'm always looking for, as you're talking, as we're doing our meetings and our discussions, I'm always looking for opportunities to scope out opportunities. So, because sometimes, again, you're unable to see that for a myriad of reasons. But even small advantages have the potential to position your case for success, even no matter how small they are. Sometimes people get carried away and they're thinking, oh, can I get alimony now that he got a $2,000 raise, when previously, when I told you you couldn't? No. Even if you could, how much are you going to get off of a $2,000 raise? But I still like to know those, because we need to explore that. Now we're on to threats. Here's where you pay careful attention to the external things that can negatively affect your case. So focusing on the potential threats allows you to prepare for them, minimizing the damage they can cause. The more precise you are with identifying what can happen, the more successful you can be at avoiding them, warding them off, preventing them from happening, taking preventative measures. In other words, pay close attention to what your ex talks about, what he's planning, who he has on his team, etc. All of these may be potential threats. Um, if he has a support system and you don't, if he has access to free lawyers and you don't, if he has means to get, experts on his team and you don't, um, those are potential threats. But explore whether your situation is exposed to external challenges. Keep an eye on your vulnerabilities that can weaken your case. Those are threats as well. So now we're going to put these all together and we're going to come up with a plan. This is where the meat of your action plan is. This is where we took all of those lists, we created all of those facts and details and stuff, and we've gone through them, and we, made sure that it was comprehensive, it was complete. Again, that may change. A weakness may become a strength, an opportunity may become a threat. But that's the whole point of the action plan, is that we are constantly reviewing it to see what we're going to come up with, how we're going to address certain things in the event that things shift and change. But this is where your mindset, your vision, and the reality of your circumstances comes together to set you up for success. If you do it right. This is where you visualize the entire process playing itself out and you fill in the details to get you there. So this is where we're going to plug in those lists, those items on your list. We're going to plug them into this little formula thing. You get to devise a detailed plan from the very beginning to the end. The end, because there's never an end in family law. Yeah, see, especially in custody disputes, until kids are grown, he can haul you back to court, or you can haul him back to court. God knows how many times. This is pivotal. This is the phase where all the effort that went into developing your plan is put into action to reap the benefits you want. What it entails is creating your action for each issue. It requires you to tie in all elements of SWOT. In other words, you must look at all your strengths you recognize, all your weaknesses you uncovered, all the opportunities you explored, and all the threats you discovered collectively to figure out how to use them together advantageously. So, to do that, you must make the most of your strengths. You must circumvent your weaknesses. You must capitalize on opportunities. And you must manage or prevent or thwart potential threats. You need to match them. So, it's a matching thing that I do. And the elements of the items in each element, in each of the SWOT sections, quadrants, and ask yourself questions to help you produce a course of action. It's critical to know when you should take defensive action versus offensive action. For example, in strength positioning, you take the strength and the opportunity and you ask yourself this: how can I use my strengths or the strengths of my case to take advantage of the opportunities? Or you look at the strengths and you look at the threats and you ask yourself, how can I take advantage of my strengths or the strengths of my case to avoid potential threats? In these scenarios, you should take offensive action. You have to be aggressive. You have to be assertive. You have to be on top of things. You have to be the initiator. You have to be the aggressor. And those are not negative words. They're action words. You just have to take action. You have to be the one to, you have to be motivated. And then you go to the other half of the quadrant where the weaknesses are, and you pair the weaknesses with opportunity, and you ask yourself, how can I use opportunities to overcome my weaknesses or the weaknesses of my case? Or you pair the weaknesses with the threats and ask yourself, how can I minimize my weaknesses or the weaknesses of my case to avoid potential threats? So at this juncture, it's imperative that you give attention to defensive action you can take to protect yourself or you can work on converting the negatives into positives. How you choose to expend your energies here varies from case to case. And again, that's why I come in that I help you. This is my thing, working on strategy, looking at all the elements in each quadrant and trying to figure out ways to pair them up. And of course, nothing is written in stone. This is a living document. Living meaning that it transforms. We have to give it life. We have to adapt and adjust it and tweak it and constantly feed it, move things around. So it's the equivalent of a living thing. It's something that we should always refer to throughout the whole process. And it's important. And as an attorney, most attorneys don't go this in depth with their clients when it comes to representing them on case. The only time they really do is if they know the case is going to trial, and that's when they'll commit more time and energy to a strategic plan. But for me, if you do that from the onset, you strengthen your position and you increase your probability of getting more wins. And again, that's important to me. So, although your plan should be centered around your SWOT, it should also take into consideration the laws that apply to your case, the laws that apply to his case, the exceptions to the laws, the potential modification or changes, the possible outcomes, the procedures, the possible violations, the penalties, all of those things. And I don't expect you to know that. That's where either your lawyer come into play, or again, if you work with me, that's where I come in because I'm going to always keep my eye out on those things. Now, we devise a list of possible actions to take based on all the steps you took up until this point. You build on your strengths, you boost your weaknesses to the extent that you can, you ward off threats as much as you're able to, and you take advantage of every opportunity. This part is critical and should not be done in haste. It should not. You should give it time and attention. Um, it's like you should be working on it. It's always, because things change every single day. Also, although this is something you can do on your own, it's advisable to have some guidance with respect to laws, the procedures, the techniques, the tricks, the tips. Again, that's my area of expertise, and that's why I come in at. Coming up with your goals, your vision, and objectives are yours and yours alone, so you shouldn't need help in that respect. But coming up with a precise action plan relies on factors outside of your control. Not only does your soon to be ex's circumstances factor in, but what you can do legally carries much more weight. So the legal aspect, the procedural aspect always comes into play, but it won't when you're doing your part of the exercise. It comes in at the end when we're actually developing that action plan. I say we because, again, that's where my area of expertise comes in at. So, the last step is executing that plan. Here, I want to elaborate on why executing a plan is important by discussing why most plans fail. And so SWOT came from corporate. That's where corporations and companies, they use that analysis to help them, you know, uh, with marketing, with coming up with more productivity, with positioning and all that stuff. So, but I used it to apply here because it's nothing different. You know, their overall goal when businesses use SWOT is to improve and to be more successful in whatever it is their intentions are. And same thing applies with divorce and custody. You want to be more successful, right? You want to get what you are entitled to, what you deserve. You want to get what you think is best for your kids. So researchers have found that more than 50% of um, some say as much as 80% of the strategic plans fail because execution is poor or non-existent. Of course, the researchers only looked at strategic plans created for businesses, but the same principles apply to aspects of one's personal life. Reasons for failed or poor execution of plans? Well, many of them are just not understood, which is why I stress taking your time. Implementing the plan on a day-to-day basis is shoddy or sporadic or, subpar. Progress isn't tracked or acknowledged in any way, which isn't good. You should always, acknowledge any small victory, any small win, any small triumph. No one to hold you accountable. That's why I come in again as well, holding you accountable during execution. There's no constant evaluation or reevaluation. As I told you, this is a living thing. So you have to feed it, nourish it, change it, modify it, adjust it, adapt it, tweak it, move things around. Focus is on unimportant parts of the plan. That's another thing. Prioritizing things. Something that may be a priority today, but it may not be one in another month or so, and vice versa. Um, Creator not informing or including other key players of the plan. Getting your lawyer on board, therapist, um, even other family members, clergy, whomever is part of your support. Failure to see the long term goals, getting too caught up in the moment. Again, we're in this for the long haul. We're trying to get, we remember we started out with that vision for our future. And so you can't lose sight of that just because, something didn't go your way or something unexpected happened. You have to stay focused. So, in order for your plan to render you the results you want in your divorce or custody case, you must not lose sight of its importance. You must not lose sight of its impact, and it needs to be tweaked whenever necessary. I can't stress that enough. However, it is also more important that you recognize that you need help, especially with the execution portion of it. Your lawyer will focus on the advocacy part, your therapist will focus on the emotional part, but you need someone to help you with the implementation, coming up with the strategy and implementing it. And that's where I come in at. So I'm going to end it there because that's where my presentation ends. And I think it goes into my program. Oh, well, let me do the conclusion first. Yes. In conclusion, a lot of the direction your case goes in depends on you. Yes, you would benefit from having some support, some guidance, some advice along the way, but you have the power to affect the outcome. Even choosing to work with me, choosing your lawyer, choosing to not have a lawyer, everything is going to come down to the choices you make and how you proceed once you decide to make those choices. So, um, but you have to take responsibility. You have to be fully present. You have to be fully responsible and ready, and you cannot defer everything to just one person. You can't put everything on your lawyer and trust them 100%. You can't put everything on your spouse or your soon-to-be ex or your ex. You can't put everything on your therapist or or your even me. You have to work. You have to take responsibility. You have to show up. You have to be present. You have to do your part. You can't afford to take chances by being a bystander in your case. You have to you have to take an active role in every stage, and that starts with decisions that you make and what in your mindset, your perspective of what's going on. So, if you would like to work with me, I can be found at www.thedivorcesolutionist.com. I have a Facebook group called the Divorce Glow Up. I have a business page. I started a YouTube channel, The Divorce Solutionist. I blog weekly. I go live weekly in my group and I answer questions. And I do a hypothetical. I choose a different hypothetical every week and I discuss it and I answer questions. Um, there's so much going on that's coming out in 2021. I have huge plans for 2021 right now. My membership program starts January 4th of 2021, where you can, on a monthly basis, you pay a monthly membership fee and you get um, my assistance, my guidance. You get document preparation, document interpretation or review. You get legal research done by me. You get to do biweekly Zoom meetings with me, you get a private Facebook group, and then you get discounts on the services that I offer, the other services, the unbundled services, and the one-on-one coaching and consulting that I do. So all of this is on my website or in my group or on my business page. So you can find me any one of those places. I look forward to working with any one of you. And I hope you enjoyed this workshop. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Facebook, or you can email me directly at divorcecoachesq@gmail. Divorcecoachesq@gmail. Thank you and bye. Come on, lady. I want that plan. What's my damn clothes for today?
Hi, Tracy, it's Russell. First of all, I wanted to thank you for relieving my married to the woman that I once fell in love with. Maybe we can fall in love again. That being said, I'm not going to break the news that she has nothing until you confirm with me. So, you've spoken to me, you asked me all the questions. You didn't ask me if I smoke and do drugs.
I did.
So, I do not smoke. I do not. I drink the average man. I don't do drugs. I don't abuse anybody. Well regarded by anybody who knows me as a decent, hardworking American citizen, a good man. And given all the chicks that are coming at me on Facebook, I must be doing something right. So, is there anything that this woman could sue me for divorce? Does she have any actionable clause that I have to answer to? Because if she doesn't, that puts me in the driver's seat.
That was different.
I deserve these clients. I deserve to work with them. They deserve to work with me. Something magical. Something magical. Slide number 5.